Tennis correspondent, so Sunday Times. So Barry is coming in just to do some questions, to give you some background, stuff like that. Before we start, actually, just going to get an award presented to our Ruckus Manager of the Year, Mark Jackson. So, over to Stefan and Barry, if you'd like.
Mark, will you come? Stefan was just telling me that although this is now called the K-Factor 6-1 Tour, effectively it's the pro staff which saw him through a few Grand Slam finals and Sampras and Courier, and so some racket. So
there you go. Thank you very much.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done. Thank you.
Well done, Mark.
Welcome to the Riverside Club, a club where the illustrious gentleman on my left, the former Wimbledon champion, former US champion, former Australian Open champion, former world #1, was a member here for how many years, Stefan?
3 or 4 years. In the late 90s, actually lived here in London. I was a resident in London for 16 years. So I moved here when I was 18, and we moved back to Sweden 9 years ago. So now I'm based in south of Sweden. So back to the roots again.
We tried to get him to play for the British Davis Cup team, but he wouldn't have that, would he?
No, I wouldn't.
But he used a lot of facilities at the British Davis Cup.
Absolutely.
Tim Henman insists that Stefan was his greatest aid when he was coming through. Based his game upon Stefan's game, and Stefan hit with all the British guys, didn't you?
Yeah, I used to work out quite a lot at the Queen's Club during my career, and played with a lot of the British juniors, and obviously with Tim Henman coming up, and played a lot with Greg Rusetsky, and even after the time where I stopped playing tennis. So spent a lot of time here in the UK, so maybe it's been part of my success, and obviously having Wimbledon here, which is the tournament, isn't it?
Another great part of Stefan's success obviously was using the Wilson racket, as we've said, and many a champion has used the Wilson racket. Now obviously we are talking to a predominantly British audience here, who I'm sure would like to see a certain Scot pick up the title in a week's time, but there's also a Swiss guy that's not bad at this sort of thing, and he uses Wilson. I'd just like to ask Stefan how he thinks the tournament's going to pan out in the next few days.
Well, we're into the second week now, and as a top player, once you get rid of the first week, you're sort of in the real tournament, which actually starts second week here. And Roger Federer is looking very good. I have to admit that. He won the French Open for the first time. I think he can come in here pretty relaxed. He knows to play on this surface, and I think he's got a very, very good chance of winning, but he needs to beat a few good players in the second week, and he got Robin Söderling here on Monday, which I think he'll win. But it would be a dream final, I think, for everybody to see Roger Federer and Andy Murray in the final. That really would be something, and obviously Andy has a chance. He does. He's beaten Roger before, but it's quite a challenge to beat Roger in a final. Very special feeling getting on that court in the Wimbledon final, and I can remember the first time when I stepped into the center court and playing against Boris Becker in 1988, and getting into the court with the crowd and everything, and I'm a little suspicious sometimes. So I wanted to get the right chair for that final, so I was really concentrating on getting to the final, to that chair. So because at halfway there you need to bow, so I was going straight to the chair, so Boris had to knock on my bed. You need to bow. So he helped me out there. So but I didn't get the right chair, but I won the match really good.
People were saying that now Federer has won the French, has got all 4 majors under his belt.
Yeah.
He's the greatest of all time. I mean, can that debate really take place in different eras? How great a player is he, do you think?
Well, I would say he's probably, it's hard to tell, but he's probably the greatest player of all time. He's got a case for it, and he's not even finished yet, but he's a pretty all-round at the same time, there's a little bit of question mark, because if you look at Federer and Nadal, what they've done over the last 5, 6, 7 years, basically everywhere they play, they made the finals. It makes you wonder, are they so good, or are the people behind not good enough to challenge them? Because you haven't really had two players dominating the game as much as I've followed tennis. In my days, it was a little bit different when I grew up with the era of Connors, Lendl, McEnroe, myself. There was Becker, and then Sampras, Agassi. But they are great players, Nadal, Federer. They are really a class of their own, I think, and they're sort of taken tennis to a different level. And they are great to watch. I think the rivalry has been great for tennis as well here.
I guess him winning at Roland Garros must have struck a kind of chord for you, because you had the other three, and that was the one you never won. You came close.
Yes.
I won't mention Michael Chang, but I mean, how difficult is it to win the French when you're, you were an attacking player, you were a great serve and volley player.
Yeah.
How difficult is it to win the French?
It is difficult, and especially the way I was playing, because I was basically playing serve and volley on first and second serve, which nobody does today. Nobody's even close.
Doubles.
Huh?
Doubles, but not singles.
In doubles, yeah, not even in single. Yeah, that's very true. But it's. I think there are so many specialized players on the clay, especially a lot of the Spanish guys. They play all their life on the clay courts, and they use a lot of topspin and know how to play on the clay court. So for a player, it's really difficult, and for Roger as well. He would have won the French Open a couple of times if Rafael Nadal wasn't there, because he's sort of been dominating the Roland Garros for years here. So that probably was the best thing that could have happened to him, was when Robin Sterling beat Nadal. I think sort of that gave him the opportunity to win the French Open in his mind, and I think, but he still at the same time he was struggling to get it to the final. He had to work pretty hard, but once he was there, he made it, and because I don't think he would have beaten Nadal in the final. I don't think there's any chance of that. So he got his chance this year, because he's not going to get that many more chances, I believe.
I'm sure some of you would like to ask Stefan a question. Yes, sir.
Can you tell us what you've been doing in Sweden for the past 9 years or so?
You wish to know. I'm actually quite busy, because since I stopped playing tennis, I've sort of been a part owner of an investment company, so I've been in finance, and I own quite a bit of property now in Växjö where I live, so that's where I spend most of the time doing at the moment. Apart from that, I still play tennis a few times a week and try to keep the fitness. And I got 2 kids. With kids doing sports, you've got to take them from place A to B to C, and with my wife, we're sort of a new taxi service in Växjö. But it's fun.
But Stefan again will be playing this year at the Royal Albert Hall in the Masters event early December. They've got an interesting field this year. Sampras isn't coming, but Pat Rafter's making a comeback on the big tour. So what's that like to play that? Is it for real, or is it a bit of hit and giggle out there?
It's more than real. It really is. But it's very enjoyable coming to play, and I think I played the first time in 10, 12 years on the Seniors Tour or the Champions Tour last year, and spoke to a lot of the guys. It's actually become quite competitive even on the Veterans Tour, and a lot of the guys are pretty well prepared when they get there, but obviously you can have a little bit of fun. You don't have to win every point. You can have a little bit of a show, and some of the guys are very good at doing it, but at the end, everybody wants to win there, and it's a lovely setup to play at the Royal Albert Hall. I think it's one of the best arenas where you can actually play tennis, and it's pretty nice watching there as well, and I hear you can eat and drink pretty well too.
Anyone